It's mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. We can't answer every question, but that's okay because we have a Twitter for myself, at HGramNFL. Go follow me on Twitter. Ask me any Bears question you want, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. The DMs are always open, so hit that follow button and follow me on Twitter, at HGramNFL. Let's start with Stay High 8KD. Darnell Mooney, how about a 1,000-yard season? How about 2 smoking Jays? I think it's possible. I wouldn't say it's reasonable, but I think it's a possibility, especially if Justin Fields gets in there and is the real deal and this team starts to throw the football downfield more, because Darnell Mooney, go watch some of his tape. The amount of missed opportunities downfield when he torched corners and safeties, at least 5 or 6 that could have been 50-plus yard touchdowns. Now, you're not going to hit all of those, but a lot of missed opportunities. I think 800-plus for sure. 1,000, we'll see. I'll give it 2 smoking Jays. Murph26, do you think the Bears will ever have another league MVP? I mean, Justin Fields is easily their best chance because it's a quarterback award at this point. Sure, I mean, ever in the history of the league moving forward? Yeah, at some point they will have someone win MVP. Might take a while, but hey, maybe Justin Fields is that guy in the future. Christopher M., have you seen Cohen run at all? Still speedy? Look, he's still recovering from the ACL. He tore it in October of last year, so you're like 6-7 months removed. I'm sure he's run some, but he's still in that recovery process. He has not been fully cleared at this point. I think by training camp he will be, and for sure once the regular season actually gets here. Curtis Jones, will David Montgomery have his best season yet? I like this question from Curtis because David Montgomery continues to kind of be the forgotten man in this offense and, in my opinion, a forgotten running back in the NFL. This is a very talented football player. He's been really good through 2 years in the NFL when you look at the numbers there. Guys, he had over 1,500 all-purpose yards last year, and this offensive line stunk for most of the season. That's impressive, folks. 10 touchdowns a year ago, had 7 his rookie season as well. I think he's going to be heavily featured in this offense. I think double-digit touchdowns is definitely a possibility. I think his carries may go down just because you signed Damian Williams and you don't want to burn out David Montgomery, but look for the efficiency to go up with better quarterback play and better offensive line play. How about you guys predict it for me? How many total touchdowns will David Montgomery have this upcoming season? Let me know down in the comments how many touchdowns for David Montgomery in 2021. I'll spitball it. How about 11? 11 touchdowns, 9 on the ground, 2 through the air. I think that's a reasonable number. Go ahead and predict it for me. Subscribe now to Chicago Bears Now for the latest rumors, news, live shows, and more. I can't say it enough. You guys have been awesome. If you've already subscribed, give yourself a round of applause like I'm giving you. We are growing like crazy on this channel. I want to be the fastest growing Bears channel throughout football season as well. We can only do that if you guys continue to subscribe. See that link below, youtube.com/BearsNow. Just hit the big red button and we'll continue to plug out daily videos just for you guys. Ryan Bounds, do you think Roquan Smith will be in the Pro Bowl this year? He should have been last year. Can't remember if he made it or not. He was an all-pro snub for sure. A, I don't care about the Pro Bowl. B, I do think he'll have another big-time season, and then the Bears will probably work on a contract extension after this season. Alan Mack, Bilal Nichols and James Daniels getting new deals before the season opener. So I mentioned both those guys as potential trade candidates. Extending them is also very much possible and maybe even more likely. You could lower their cap hits for this year by doing that potentially. And these are good football players. Again, I was not advocating for those guys to necessarily get traded, but simply by saying if you're not going to extend him or re-sign them, you could trade them. I'd be thrilled if both these guys got extensions, especially at the right price. Super chat from Fernie. I've heard a lot of people saying Monty is overrated just because we played bad defenses last year. 1,500 all-purpose yards for a running back and a bad offense. Yeah, he's overrated. Of course he's not. David Montgomery's a really good player. I think by this time next year, we might be talking about a guy who's a top 5 running back in the NFL. He's for sure top 10 at this point. He's fringe top 5. I think he's extremely underrated. Huey here, looking at the schedule, I honestly think we go 5-12 to 7-10. Do you think this is reasonable? Schedule's tough. There's no doubt. I think based on just looking at their roster compared to last year, it's probably a tick worse because you lost Kyle Fuller on defense. The secondary is probably not going to be quite as good, but I think the offense has the potential to be much better. I think the O-line's better. I think Andy Dalton's better than any quarterback the Bears trotted out last year. And if Justin Fields plays and we start to see some of his potential unleashed as a rookie, then I think your offense will definitely be better. So I would be more in the 7+ win range, Q, but, I mean, a lot of tough games, so you never know. What do you guys think? I've been getting a lot of talk at the office. Mitchell Renz is kind of our Instagram guy here at Chat Sports, and he's a big fan of it. And I asked him, I was like, what do you think? Should I get going on IG? I've got a personal account, but I've been thinking about launching a kind of a professional account, if you will, where I can put some of my videos on there, put clips from my videos there. Maybe I could do some Instagram lives in the future. Let me know in the comments. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Should I use Instagram? Do you guys use Instagram? Let me know down below. Just watching in the live chat, I'm seeing all yeses for now, so maybe I'll just create one for you guys. In the meantime, follow me on Twitter. That's where you can find me on social media, at HGramNFL. Stay tuned for a potential Instagram launch at some point. I'm heavily considering it. For now, I'm on Twitter, at HGramNFL. If I do start getting going on Instagram, I will create a new one. So if you follow my personal account, that will stay personal stuff, family, all that good stuff. I will create a professional one, if you will, at HGramNFL on Twitter. Give me a follow. DM me on Twitter. Say, hey, you should launch an Instagram, and maybe it'll happen. At HGramNFL, and we'll see on IG. From Mama's Basement, James Daniels is the best offensive lineman, no trade. Arguably, I would say he got hurt last year. I do like Daniels a lot. He really mashes in the run game especially. He's got center guard flexibility, which is valuable as well. Again, I wasn't advocating for it. I'm simply saying if the Bears are looking ahead and saying we may not be able to afford bringing him back, then you at least should consider a trade. Not advocating for it, just listing him as a possibility. Anger Management, which Day 3 rookie will impact the most in 2021? I think just like last year in Darnell Mooney, how about Daz Newsome? I think Daz Newsome is a guy that can be impactful. I think he could beat out Anthony Miller and be your slot receiver. So maybe him. Thomas Graham Jr., the corner out of Oregon. He's a name I'm keeping an eye on. And then I think Khalil Herbert can instantly be a really good kick returner in the NFL. So I like what the Bears did on Day 3. I think they'll have some guys that make some plays. Cameras were on. I think we should trade Allen Robinson. I love him. I think he's a top 5 receiver, but I don't want to give him $18 million per year. Just too much for a receiver, I think. I mean, if that's your attitude, you're basically never going to have a number 1 receiver because that's what they cost, which is fine. If you have a bunch of quality like number 2s and number 3 receivers, I guess you can get away with it. But I'm having like visions of when the Cowboys cut Dez Bryant several years ago and tried to replace him with a bunch of number 3 receivers, and it did not work. So they traded for Amari Cooper. So I would prefer to keep Allen Robinson. Hashtag sign AR. The real ones know, but that's just me. Danny Weston, Mack over under 11 sacks. 10 to 11 is where I'm at with him. He just has never really been that like 15, 16 sack guy, which is fine because he creates turnovers. He plays well against the run. 10 plus. I don't know about 11 plus, but 10 plus. Windy City Hawkeye. What's your thoughts on a possibility of the Bears leaving Soldier Field for Arlington Heights? I think someone asked this question last week. Two Smoking Jays. I think it's possible. I think it's reasonable. I think the city of Chicago and the Bears need to figure something out. They need to either build a new stadium in Chicago or upgrade Soldier Field significantly. The stadium's almost 100 years old. It's got the lowest capacity in the NFL, which is a joke for Chicago. This is not Jacksonville. This is Chicago we're talking about, an original NFL franchise. And if we're just being honest, the stadium, it's outdated. They got to severely upgrade it, add seats, build some nice suites. They got to make a much better fan experience for Soldier Field, or they got to build a new one, whether that's in Chicago or in Arlington Heights. Chargers 35. I think the Bears got a steal with Khalil Herbert. Do you think this is true? Do you think he might be a future All-Pro? All-Pro's a stretch. But 6th round, I like him. I think our draft expert, Tom Downey, had a 4th or 5th round grade on him. Good punt returner. He can catch the ball pretty well. And he's got good speed. So, I think those are all valuable aspects. He's a home run hitter as a running back, which in round 6, I think that's pretty good value. Ryan Bounds, how many rushing touchdowns for Justin Fields this year? I'd just be guessing because I don't know how many games he's going to play. Let's say he plays 10 games, 3 to 4, 3 to 5. I think incorporating the read option in the red zone is something Matt Nagy should do once Fields gets into the game. That QB power play as well is something he can run effectively. Dak Prescott does that a lot in Dallas, at least pre-injury Dak did. So I think you can use him in that regard. If he starts 10 games, I'll say 3 to 5 rushing touchdowns. Alan Mack, would the Bears ever think about playing another game overseas? They have a lot of fans around the world. Absolutely, and Alan, for those of you who don't know, is in Dublin, Ireland. I know the NFL they're always looking to play in front of new countries and fan bases because the NFL is trying to become more and more global. I absolutely think they would consider that, Alan, because it's a good business move for the team and it's a good business move for the league as well. I don't know if Ireland would be the next place, but maybe in London, fly over there and get a game in London. That could be a possibility. Be a hater for us. Which player do you hate the most in the comments, and why is it Aaron Rodgers? I'm guessing that's the answer for most of you guys. So let us know, which NFL player do you hate more than any other? Go ahead and let us know in the comments. We got time for a couple more here. Tamber the Lambert, do you think that Jeremiah Attachu could get a roster spot? Yeah, I think he's your number 3 edge right now. I think he'll make this team. I think he'll be a good rotation piece. And look, if Robert Quinn doesn't play better than last year, I think you got to give some other guys snaps, and that could be a guy like Jeremiah Attachu. Torian Whitfield, should the Bears sign another left tackle? I mean, you can never have enough offensive tackles, right? Look, if you want insurance for Tevin Jenkins, yes, you probably should. But if you think he's going to be fine there, then no. Larry Borom can be your swing tackle. He could play in a pinch over there if he's needed. You could put Wilkinson or Alex Bars in a pinch, although that would not be preferable. I wouldn't be opposed to it, though. Like, if you get into camp or you get into the preseason and Jenkins is getting pushed around a bit because he played more right tackle in college, yeah, signing someone could make sense. Joel Fernandez, is Thomas Graham Jr. like a semi-Kyle Fuller? I mean, Kyle Fuller's more of a hard-hitting physical corner. Graham maybe has slightly better coverage skills, but probably not that either. I mean, guys, Kyle Fuller was an all-pro a couple of years ago, so comparing him to Thomas Graham is just it's not fair for either guy. So I think Graham's got some skills. He opted out in 2020, which hurt his draft stock. I think he's got a chance to compete at nickel. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's all I got for you. Christopher M. Monty, I believe, will have 12 touchdowns in 1,200 yards. For sure, 1,200 all-purpose. We'll see if he can push for 1,500 again. 12 touchdowns, yeah, I think that's about the range. I said 11, I think. 10-plus for sure, and maybe 12, 13, 14. Who knows? Don Burr, will you ever get the QB position right? Ohio State equals bums in the NFL. Our Lions fan loves to troll, and good for you, Don. You snuck in here without a super chat. Chi-Town Mofongo, you think the Bears will extend A-Rob with the cap set to go up after next season? You can extend him now and lower his cap hit this year. That's what, some people don't get. If you sign A-Rob to a long-term deal tomorrow, his $18 million cap hit on the franchise tag will go down instantly. So I would sign him today. I would have signed him a year ago. I would have signed him 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I think they should. I think they need to. Will they? Two smoking Jays, because Ryan Pace has been pretty non-committal on this front. Bernie, James Daniels has only let up 1 sack his whole career. I'd say that's pretty good. Did I say he sucked? I mean, we can roll back the tape. I don't think I ever said he stunk. I said he missed 11 games last year. He's going to be a free agent after this year, and you've already paid Cody Whitehair. I mean, doesn't mean you can't pay him. Doesn't mean they won't pay him. Doesn't mean they shouldn't pay him. But it means that they could go in a different direction. That's all that I said. That's all I was meaning to say when it came to James Daniels. I tried to make it clear that I wasn't advocating to trade him, but apparently that was misconstrued. Jacob Cutler, my favorite show, I Go Pee-Pee Now. Okay, Jacob, I didn't need those details, but appreciate you tuning in and watching the show. Tell Kristen we said hi. Christopher M., last question here. What UDFA stands out to you that should have been drafted? Charles Snowden should have been drafted. Tom Downey's in the other room. He's shaking his head yes. Should have been drafted out of Virginia. I think he's got a chance to make the team. I released my initial 53-man roster. I have him as one of the last guys making the roster. I thought he should have been a 5th or 6th round pick. Good production in college. Guys, 6'7", 240, you can't teach that. That's unique to me. I think he's got at least, 30, 40% chance of making the roster. For sure a lock to make the practice squad.